Alright. Good morning, everyone. I'm sniperdog, and we're going to be doing Valkyria Chronicles in New Game Plus. Just to give a quick heads up, I'm going to be using a preloaded file for this because we have to get very specific units or otherwise the run will not be able to finish, and it can take like 20 or so attempts sometimes to get the units. So this is a much better way to do anything. So I'm going to give a countdown now. 3, 2, 1, and start. Alright, so like I mentioned, we're going to have to go and get our units first. We have some of the main characters and they're already pre-equipped, but there's a few other guys we're going to need. I'll explain why we need these guys as we get to their roles. Should be good at the menu considering the fact it's preload. Alright. Now we have to equip them up. Main characters already come equipped, but any non-main character needs to get their new stuff equipped to them. These are all mostly the DLC weapons for the PS3 version, but we're going to be playing on PS4, so they're already in the game. Alright, and that is all the menuing. Alright, so the first mission's prologue. This is a really simple one, and I'll use it to explain how Valkyria Chronicles generally plays. As soon as we get done the mashing. It's a little unfortunate that we cannot skip that in this game. Alright, so this is command mode, where we can select units, and then this is target mode. And when we're in target mode, the enemy can't do anything, and the game becomes a turn-based RPG, but most of the time we'll be running around like this. The orange meter in the bottom is our AP, and when that is empty, our units usually can't continue. So we're going to stop right about here. When the arrows turn right above their head, it means we're in range. When you're out of range, it really lowers how much damage you do. Like, even if I went for headshots, I would not be able to get this kill. That's unfortunate. What Vulcan did there is a victory animation. There's a few of them that are optional throughout the run. You lose about 2 seconds every time you get one. And we unfortunately got both. And I'll explain in a second, but the weapon Vulcan has is pretty special. It's the S20. He's a story unit, so it's actually pre-equipped to him. And it has the best accuracy in the game, and the longest range, and it also doesn't have any shots, which is useful because if we had like 5 shots or more than 5 shots, it would waste a lot of time because the shooting animation has to end even if you kill them in the first headshot. So that's why we'll be using Vulcan once again for Chapter 1. All we have to do is move and kill this leader, so right when we get those sandbags. Hopefully he'll do, because Vulcan tends to miss this sometimes. Okay. If he accidentally hits the sandbags, you'll not get the kill and you just have to try again. It's about 15-ish seconds, and very unfortunate. And now, unfortunately, we have to watch this enemy phase. Usually in Valkyria Chronicles speedruns, we don't have to do this because we win in 1 turn, but even though we could have won this in 1 turn, the game automatically switches to turn 2 once this tank comes. And Vulcan got stuck a bit. You get stuck sometimes when you get like grenade launched, and it can take him a while to get up. If he dodges, it's pretty fast. Hopefully though, we don't see any dodges this run. Either me dodging or the enemy. Because that is very bad. And there's now a tank. We can't fight it, so we just have to run to that point on the map. And since this is New Game Plus, we can just run Vulcan right across. You don't actually have to get where it is on the map, you just have to like this corner. And that counts as good enough. You'll see that in some other chapters as well. A lot of the game Like, they say you have to get to 1+, but the triggers are really big in this game. Alright, and this is the last tutorial mission of the game. Chapter 2. Unfortunately, it is the longest, and it is 100% an auto-scroller. There's some neat ways to speed it up, though. We used to just AFK for this and wait until we can win, but there's a new strat that was, well, it's kind of old at this point, but it looks pretty cool and it does things much better. So this is Alicia. She has the ZM-CAR9. This is like the opposite of the S20 in that it's very powerful, has a lot of shots, and is very inaccurate. So we're just going to park Alicia here, and the AI wants to destroy the gate. The lose condition for this is either Alicia dying or the gate being destroyed. And the AI rushes the gate. So they're all going to rush right into Alicia, and that is not a good idea. Even though she's not facing where the enemies are going to come from right now, because he's a scout, he has like 270 degrees vision, so she's going to notice them right away. And then you'll very soon see how powerful the ZM-CAR9 is. That was a little unfortunate. Oh, we did actually get one shot in the back, so the leader should go down in one shot now. There we go. And that is turn 1. We unfortunately do have to wait through one more turn here, because we need Welkin to arrive. We're not actually going to use him, but if he's not in the map as a tank, you can't use orders, and without orders, the only way to destroy this tank, which is what we need to do to win, you'd have to stand there and let the enemy chip shot it for like an hour in order to do this in one turn. That is not the best idea. Alright, last unit, and then things will speed up quite a bit. Okay, good. Sometimes the game can lag when that happens. Anyway, Welkin is now a tank, and he'll be a tank for most of the game. We're going to use our first order of the run. One of the things in New Game Plus is we have every order in the game already unlocked, which allows us to do very different strats than we do in New Game. So we're going to go and use Alicia, and penetration means this tank has no defense, which means we can take it out in 2 rounds. Normally, the ZM-CAR9 could just take this out without any orders, but this tank cheats a bit, and the bonus damage is only like 2.5, I believe. No, it's 1.5 instead of the usual 10x. It's probably just because they wanted the tank to be a little harder to take out. But it's a little unfortunate that we still have to do the auto-scroller in New Game Plus. Anyway, now we're done with tutorial missions. Real quick, we're going to get to our first menu of the game. So in the last couple missions, we just like were sent into it, but now I actually have the menu to deploy my units. For most of the run, we're just going to deploy one guy that's designed just to win the mission. So this we're going to use Mavil. He's the scout that we added at the beginning of the mission, and he also has ZM-CAR9 because that is very good. And there's a lot of other reasons we use Mavil over other scouts that I'll explain when we get to more Mavil missions, because we'll be using him a lot in the first half. Alright, so we're going to avoid these sandbags because going over them is actually slower. The animation is very long, and we have plenty of movement. We're gonna go right around here and hopefully kill these guys in one shot. Okay. Took the last shot, but we got it. And now the game is capture the flag, so Basically, our goal is either to knock the enemies out of the base or kill them, and then we capture the flag. That's the reason I'm using scouts a lot. They have the most AP in the game. Another real quick quirk of New Game Plus is, so in book mode, which is what I'm in right now, I actually have to pay attention to where my cursor is, because it skips most of the cutscenes, but some of them it just doesn't skip, so I actually have to, like, move around in book mode. It can be weirdly specific for some of the later chapters. Alright, chapter 4. We're gonna basically do what we did last chapter, but our route and how we clear the base is very different. We won't be doing a double kill for a very, very long time. Alright, so when I select my veil, and you see the arrows are pointing us in this direction, it's kind of a hint that there's a shortcut. So the base is, like, right in front of us, but there's a wall. So we're just going to grenade this piece of rubble here. Then we can cut through, but then we have another problem. There's a tank in the way. But with the shock trooper's help, he'll destroy that radiator, and then that will go and let us move forward. So there's the base, but this base has a crouching unit, and that means they have a lot of defense. So you can't just, like, double kill them. So instead we're going to use mortar support. This is like the tank's mortar, but in order, which makes us do it from any distance, and in early game it's very strong. How's that of an odd menu, but it worked. And we have pretty good HP. Unfortunately, we had to touch that corpse. In VC1 at least, whenever you touch a corpse, you lose a little time. You ideally want them to, like, not be close to wherever you have to go, but sometimes they just land closer to you. Alright, next chapter, chapter 5, it's going to be another scout rush. The base is very far away this time though, and it's actually going to take a few moves to get there. You might notice that I'm using Maville instead of Alicia, even though she's the first on the menu. That's because Alicia has a lot of potential. You just might have saw that in chapter 2 when it said resist crossfire. And she does that a lot, and it's on average way slower. Whereas Maville has very little potentials that are negative. Alright. It might also be weird that we're using defense boost in early game, but we're going to run past a very scary tank, and if I did not use defense boost, we would guarantee die. That's pretty self-explanatory, but it just reduces the damage we take by a lot. Like, we're going to run past some shock troopers, and they're barely going to do anything. Alright, so this is going to take 2 more actions to get to the base, unless I get lucky. Another reason we use Maville is he has an ability called Double Movement. It's going to be required for some later chapters, but for now it's just a bonus. It will refill our entire AP meter, which as you can see is kind of broken. Alright, we did not get double movement this chapter. Anyway, this action will get to the base. You can see how I'm almost close to dead, even though I used the defense boost. Hopefully this grenade does a double kill. Alright. Unfortunately, there's one more guy in the base, and we have no way to grenade all 3 of them at once. You could use mortar support for this, like we did in 4, but it's actually slower. So we're just gonna shoot him. Alright, one more quick mission left, and this time we're actually gonna have to use Alicia, because Maville has no bad potentials except desert allergies. and maps 6 and 7 take place in the desert. And it can activate like multiple times per turn, so it's one of the few missions that is faster to use Alicia. So you'll probably get a bunch of potentials. We're gonna take a lot of damage, but I don't need the defense boost. I'm probably gonna get potentials that are gonna increase my defensive capabilities, but if I don't, like, the worst case scenario is I have to heal. But that is very, very rare. So again, we're gonna avoid those sandbags because they're slow for most runs. We don't go over sandbags in this category, at least. The new game you have to because we have a little less movement. That's a lot of damage, Alicia. Alright. So I actually did get a little risky of HP, but I'm sure Alicia will get a bunch of potentials on this action. Otherwise, gonna have to heal. It's kinda silly, but this is technically a chapter you can die on. It's probably the first in the game, too. Okay. I'm good now. So, that's Valkyria. It's my least favorite potential in the game. It activates whenever Alicia is shot at under half HP. And it's really consistent in activating. Like, it's resist crossfire is just anytime an enemy starts shooting, there's a chance. And like, it's like 12.5, but like, Valkyria is like, I don't know the percent for it, but it's way, way higher, because it seems to always activate. And this is going to be our last time capturing the base for a very long time, actually. The next 2 missions do not involve any bases. They are also very long. In fact, not the longest missions in the game, though, but they're 2 of the longest. So chapter 7, we have to fight a big tank. And the big tank is not going to be vulnerable until turn 4. So until then, we're basically just chilling. This is the map that if you've ever played this game casually, you might have gotten stuck on, because it's a bit of a difficulty spike, but for our purposes it's just going to be a bunch of RNG. Alright, so first thing we have to do is, anytime that we have to wait to another turn, we want to try to shorten them as much as possible. So we're going to just kill every enemy on the map that we can. Excuse me. So we're just going to shoot that sniper, and then we're going to go and use mortar support, and almost wipe out this group of enemies. Unfortunately, in this group is a Lancer, and they have blast resistance. So as you can see, Lancer's going to survive with barely enough HP. So I'm going to have to go back to my shock trooper, and hopefully this hits. Alright. I have never actually seen that miss, but there's definitely a chance. And now we begin waiting. I've tried to use smoke rounds, which is like covers the map and the enemy can't see you, to speed this up, but for some reason it does not help. Maximilian, the guy in the tank, will just not move, and you'll go on for infinite turns. Alright, well that's actually pretty good luck. So Maximilian can also use orders. They aren't going to be threatening to us, but they'll waste about 10 seconds each time he does one. And we have 3 chances to do it, but we've actually gotten lucky with the first 2. So we have 1 more turn to go, and hopefully he gives us no orders. I think that'd be the first time I get that in any marathon. Alright, what do we get, Max? Nah, alright. One order's alright. So now he's going to shoot at a big wall because it's in his way. And that's going to expose the radiators on the tank. They're the very big glowing weak spots that you can easily see. And we're going to have to destroy all three of them. So we're going to use our Lancers for this because they're the anti-tank units of the game. Thanks to orders, we usually use Scouts for anti-tank, but in this case we actually have to use Lancers. Alright, that's an unfortunate potential, but it doesn't mess up the kill. Because when we destroy these radiators, Maximilian's going to hide them again, so we need to destroy them all at once. So we have one Lancer with the M01, which will not kill them. And then we're going to use Welkin in the tank over there with an order to take them all out in one action, which saves like 5 turns of very long, boring enemy turns, so it's very nice to do this. 2 potentials is pretty normal. Alright, so now we're going to use a new order, Demo Boost. This just increases the damage to tanks. We need to do this because the mortar has a big range, but it doesn't do much damage. Alright. So that's phase 1 down. The other Lancer I have, Audrey, she will deal with phase 2 after some cutscenes. Game's a little offbeat right now because this is a sequence break, so we have to watch every cutscene at once. Vulcan gets a little confused on what just happened and goes by talking about each third year each time. Alright, so hopefully Audrey does a good job. He has the M20, which does much more damage, and we'll actually let a 2-shot this boss. Alright. That's chapter 7. Next is the second slowest mission in the game. It's somewhat an auto-scroller, unfortunately. Vulcan and Alicia are going to get separated from the group, and they're in a forest. Now we have to get both of them to the goal at the end of the map, and as you can see, this is a very long, winding map. And another thing is, they were separated by an explosion, and Alicia, she hurt her ankle, so she walks really slow. Like, Vulcan can get there very quickly, but Alicia's gonna hobble her way to the goal. Alright, good. It's very important that I select Alicia first, because we have a limited amount of command points. That's the amount of actions we can do each turn, and it's actually like very precise for this one. So first, because this is going to take a few turns, we're going to take out some enemies along the way. The only reason we can line up with the headshot for that guy without like moving the cursor up is because you can't lock onto him because the tree blocks you, which actually makes it easier to get the headshot on that guy. I'm just gonna park Alicia here, and then Vulcan's gonna talk to a tree. And that's going to make Alicia go to walk longer. It's like a little precise, but I usually get it. As I mentioned earlier, the triggers in this game are very large. So I'm talking to Alicia through the wall, which is very nice because it actually helps us route this mission, because this mission is based on a bunch of cycles. That'll come into play after we wait for a little bit. So one thing to point out is the PS4 version is faster than the PC version and any other version, but whenever they have to shuffle on the maps, it's slower on PS4. But thankfully this is one of the few times in New Game Plus that we actually have to watch shuffling. That's because we're going to kill the guy that's making the units move on this turn. Alright, and Vulcan is going to explain what a searchlight is. They're the big glowy thing. They can occasionally, and I really hope this happens during this run, load in at the wrong color. But, if we touch them, we'll get a little cutscene and they'll launch on the next turn and it'll waste quite a bit of time. It's not just the searchlights, by the way, the whole game will load a different color palette sometimes. So we're gonna run right here. And we're gonna grenade that scout, because that's what gives the shock trooper vision, and is why they move around. Hopefully this goes well. Alright, good. It's not that big of a deal in this category if that guy lives, but I would prefer it to not happen. Alright, next Alicia gets to go on an adventure. Hello, landmine. Yeah, she has to do that because we have it. Wait, it's walking in the wrong spot. Oh no, it's not a big deal though. Because when that happens, this is actually really funny. So the mortar is going to go off, but it's not going to go off where it's supposed to. It's a really weird thing. Like, the mortar touched Welkin where he's standing, but you can see it's nowhere near Welkin. This happens sometimes when, like, you're extended in the grass. But I have no idea why the mortar spawns far away. Because it should be, like, if I were to, like, with the camera on the screen do that, then Welkin would be in the blast radius. But it spawns really far away, and I do not know why it happens. Similar thing happens in 10.1, where they don't spawn where the game says it should be. Because I know it can spawn there. Alright, we do not want that guy to get vision on us, because Alicia is almost dead from the mine boost, and that guy would very easily kill her. We're just gonna slowly get Alicia here. We'll be out of this next turn. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to see it. Yeah, like, look, we're right on the light. But it's not where it's supposed to be. I guess the mortar team messed up really badly. Because we should be hit by this. But I guess the game just gets confused with this. It is so funny to get into a run. I hope we get the 10.1 searchlight shenanigans too. Anyway, now we have like 30 seconds of Alicia hobbling towards the goal. I wonder if I still made cycles. Just barely. Okay. Thankfully, we're going to return to capture the flag for one mission. So another fast mission is coming up. This is 8.2. We're technically still in Chapter 8. And we're actually going to do something that we've not done yet. We're going to deploy units for extra CP. So the main story units give you extra CP. We usually don't need this in New Game Plus because we get stuff done in very few actions, but this mission is going to be CP perfect, which is also why I need to safety save. That is very important. It's not that big of a risk, but it's definitely the first thing that's a little scary. You can see there's some landmines to the right of me. You used to boost off of these. This one, and then the one after the grass. But boosting takes like 6 seconds, and it's actually faster to just skip them, because you also have to heal to do both of them. So instead we're just going to do this in 3 actions. And anyway, the reason we had to do all that was because Vulcan needs to get to the tank. And this is the first time we actually move in the tank. So we're gonna go right about here. And I'm gonna play it safe because if Vulcan misses any of these shots, that is not good. Alright. Yeah, that wall is very annoying because it is hard-coded that only Vulcan can damage it. If not, we could have just avoided like having to move Vulcan all the way over there. I only have 1 CP to do this. There's not really a danger of dying, but the guy in the base, if he dodges or the ZM-CAR9 is inaccurate, that means I'd have to wait for the enemy turn, which is very long. Okay, we're good. Alright, we get to capture a flag again. And now we're going to go right back to not capturing flags. But don't worry, the missions aren't going to be as long as the last ones. So Chapter 9 is a bit of a weird mission. It's the only story mission. The enemy is going to go first. So we're going to get to see the APC go vroom vroom for a bit, and then we're going to destroy it in one shot. This mission is going to be the first time we use a sniper. It's because the APC that we're going to defeat, they kidnapped the princess of Gavia, so if we used explosives we might kill her. So instead we're going to use the anti-tank sniper rifle that we equipped at the beginning. And that's good enough to one-shot the boss. But first we get to see vroom vroom. This mission is somehow still faster on PS4 over PC, even though that enemy phase exists. So I'm gonna go right about here. I'm gonna zoom in. And even though I'm not really near the radiator, the hitbox for this is really big. And that is Chapter 9. It's the fastest mission we've had so far, despite having to wait for the enemy phase. Alright, so 10-1 is another auto-scrolling mission. and this time we're doing it in the tank, which is actually faster than using Alicia. And I'm going to remember to deploy 1 extra unit so I do not game over. We normally wouldn't do that, but it would be very bad if something bad happened on turn 1. Because if something bad happens on turn 1, I will get a game over. It's because the loss condition in most missions is like either Vulcan dies or they capture a base. And if Alicia's not here, there's no one defending the base. So just explain it's a fixed path, meaning just you need to slowly move forward in the tank. So these scouts are the dangerous guys. If they are to live, then they're going to run towards your base. There's one more. Alright, good job, Vulcan. Even if they don't dodge, you also could just have Vulcan with the shot, because he is not very accurate, even in New Game Plus. Speaking of inaccurate Vulcan, one more guy to take out. And like all the other missions, we're doing this to make the enemy turns a little faster. This will take 3 turns, so that's not that bad. Sadly, it's actually faster to let this tank shoot at you for a bit than like try to do something to avoid it. We're going to do a lot of movement in turn 2. And we don't have as many enemies to kill. We're just going to take out these 2 shock troopers with hopefully a double kill. Alright, that's all the enemy units for the mission. We're going to also kill the tank that's on the bridge, but tanks cannot dodge. And these searchlights are kind of unavoidable, given how unwieldy the tank is. Alright, and that's the rest of turn 2. We're just going to move forward. Movement's pretty important during this. Normally we would just have enough movement to get to the end goal in 3 turns, but we have some extra CP because I deployed Alicia. So Vulcan's gonna get shot at again. Then we're gonna watch some mortars go off, and then he'll sneak on by and end the mission. This is supposed to be like a sneaking mission, even though we're driving a giant tank. Okay, so just like the last bridge, there's gonna be a tank in our way. And we're gonna do the same thing we did to that tank. So take 2 shots. Hopefully Vulcan does not miss. It's been a very long time though. I think you to have him miss it, actually just have to mess up. Because as inaccurate as he is, this is a really big target. Alright, nice. So we don't want that Lancer to go near the tank, because if we knock them off the cliff, they're going to respawn, and it takes a really long time to respawn. Alright, and that is 10-1. That's just about the halfway point of the run. Next up is one of the more annoying missions. So we have to destroy a giant armored train. And to do that, place the bomb under its tracks. Unfortunately, we can only shoot the bomb from very, very far away from where we spawn. So it's gonna take a lot of good luck in order to get over there. But first, we need to destroy a bridge. Because without the bridge destroyed, they cannot place the bomb. That's the easy part. We're just gonna snipe the bridge. Gonna run right out here. Zoom in on this bridge. That's unfortunate. We used to have to use orders for that, but the anti-tank sniper has very high anti-armor. Because the bridge, even though it is made of wood, is an armored unit. Alright, here comes the silly part. Excuse me. So we're going to use an order we haven't used before. It's called Awaken Potential. This is going to make potentials more likely to happen, and we're going to do this in any chapter that we really need some potentials. So I need to get double movement twice. So yeah, it's a little annoying, but we'll hopefully get it in like 2 out of 2 tries. As you can see, we get potentials very quickly. Like we got like Resist Crossfire and Country Bread. And we did not get double movement. It's all good. Usually takes a few tries. There's the first time. Gotta be a little careful if we don't get Resist Crossfire, because this tank will do a lot of damage. Okay, I'll maybe heal. Depends on how much HP I have left. And we also got first aid boost. Was my movement really good? Okay, was a little off. You can tell if it's really good because that shock trooper will be in range. So now we need 1 more double movement. Unfortunately, because we healed, we're gonna get another Valkyria. Okay, that's very nice. So we got it in 3 attempts? That's pretty good for a marathon. If I were to have gotten down to the last CP, I would have to start saving and reloading until we get it. And the bomb could not dodge, that's very nice. Alicia has undodgeable shots, and since he uses Awaken Potentials, he usually gets it there, even though the bomb cannot dodge her. Now we're going to watch a very long cutscene of a train falling into the abyss. Alright, next up is Chapter 11. We are once again going to need double movement, so we will be using Awaken Potential. But this time we only need it 1 time, so it's nowhere near as bad as 10-2. In fact, 10-2 is the only time we need it twice in the run. Right now, they're going to explain that we have a new tank, but we're not going to use that new tank for a very long time. Anyway, we're going to use a lot of orders here because this is a bit of a scary chapter if we do not. We're going to use a new order that I'll explain when we need it. Attack weak spot. This is the only use this has in any category, but it's a very useful order for this specific mission. So these turrets up there do crazy amount of damage. So he moved in a blind spot so they cannot shoot us. But there's going to be another one, and we're not going to be able to do that. That was really late crossfire. Right. No double movement on the first action, but that's kind of good. If I don't get resist crossfire, I'm going to have to heal. But there's a pretty high chance of getting shot at by so many enemies. So now everything is going to shoot at Alicia for a bit. Depending on how this goes, we might have to go. Alright, we'll go here, because we have those coming up. And there's a lot less enemies shooting at me right now, so I'm less likely to get resist crossfire. Like that. Alright, there's double movement. So now we get to the base. So the reason we have attack weak spot is the shock trooper to the left is crouching, and we want to get a double kill here. But crouching units have very high defense. So we need a double kill there because attack weak spot makes everything headshot, even if they're crouching. Normally when you hit a crouching unit, it does just chip damage. Alright, now to a bit of an easy mission compared to this one and the next one. We're actually going to be going back to the map of Chapter 2, if anyone remembers that. And we will not be using Alicia. It's a bit faster to use her, but she usually just gets a bunch of potentials. So we'll use Maviel instead. And in addition to using the PL, we're gonna use Defense Boost, because it's not quite as scary as those turrets in the last mission, but there's a little scary thing coming up. And Maviel does not have the potentials like Alicia to not be able to do this without Defense Boost. Because if she gets Resist Crossfire, she can actually do this, but Maviel does not have that. There's those two shock troopers up there and to the left. They're not going to really do anything. There's going to be a scout. Not also not going to do anything. Then there's this. And that's going to do a lot. If we didn't have the Defense Boost, we'd be almost dead. Anyway, there's the base. We have 2 units to take out. Unfortunately, we cannot grenade these guys because the anti-tank turret is not grenadable. That was a little close. We actually had 1 miss. It's very fortunate that that is a sniper because that is a named unit. And if that unit was not a sniper, they would face me, and they have a very high dodge rate. Which, fingers crossed, we haven't seen dodge all run. And there's only 1 more chapter where we can see one. That is a chapter coming up right now. And this is a chapter that we really do not want to dodge on. because we will have to save and reload. We're going to be going back to Alicia for this mission, even though we're using a scout. We don't need any potentials, but we need her height value in order to get this grenade launch. It's the first and only time we're going to be using the grenade launcher instead of just throwing a grenade in the run. So on this map, most of the map is the dead zone, so we're going to stay in the trenches for the end of the turn. We actually do have to do this in 2 turns, unless we get really lucky. Maybe. I can actually do a very different strat if I get lucky. But that needs double movement, so probably not get it. Yeah. So okay, this will be 2 turns. If you get resist, crossfire, and double movement, you can safely do this in 1 turn. But it's pretty hard to get because it's so much luck. So because we're ending turn, we're gonna have to take out this unit. And oh, we avoided the body. That's good. All right, so we're gonna end turn. They're gonna launch a bunch of rockets onto the map, but they're not gonna get us because even if we weren't under the trenches, we're well out of range. Now, I'm going to safety save, because this grenade launch can go wrong, either by messing it up or getting bad luck. Hopefully that works. Alright, we're good. We have to run into that corner because if both of those shock troopers were shooting at us, even in New Game Plus, we would probably die. But since we're in the wall, the shock trooper on the right is going to look that way because that's where the grenade came from, so he's not going to go and shoot at us. Because you'll see right here, even with only 1 shock trooper on me, I'm going to miss me dead. Alright, and we're gonna see if Vulcan's cooperative today. Nice. That saves quite a bit of time over the old strats, which was using Alicia with penetration to destroy the tank. But if you get lucky, you can do it with Vulcan. Alright, next up is Chapter 14. This one is a little scary in Marathon. It was for the longest time a 2-turn, but we now have a 1-turn for it, but it is very RNG dependent. So hopefully it's cooperative. Alright, so it turns out that Alicia is a Valkyria, and that means he's going to walk around the map really slowly. And swerve the camera, but it's not that impressive, sadly. Alright, that's our first skill. He basically just will walk around forever if you do nothing and one-shot stuff until you game over. You can game over if you take more than 20 turns, but that is very hard to do. Now our turn formally begins. Technically that is our turn because it's still turn 1. We just don't have control over Alicia. So we're going to be using Awaken Potential because we really need double movement. And we're going to use Penetration so we can actually get the kill. Because while it might look like we just have to capture the flag this mission, we're actually going to have to fight 2 boss tanks. They're going to spawn pretty soon. Alright, nice. It's a little useful to get it on the first action. So now we're gonna capture the base, and it's going to turn out to be an ambush. There's our tanks. These tanks have very high defense. So you're going to have to be a little creative about taking them out to get a one-turn. So we're going to run around here. We're not going to be in front of the shuffle. Now we're going to grenade ourselves. And Mathiel is going to go on an adventure. Alright. He did not spawn anywhere. The reason it's a little concerning, and I do have a backup save for it, is sometimes, when you do that, you'll just teleport to somewhere on the map, like, randomly, and that is not good. For our purposes, at least. It's pretty funny, though. I've only gotten it in a run once. Now we're gonna take 3 rounds to take out this tank. Alright, and this is our last round. And this is one tank down. For the next tank, we're going to do some Lancer sniping. If it goes badly, we're gonna have to safety save. Hopefully Audrey's feeling accurate today. Alright, we did get a dodge, but the dodge was not our target. Alright. So we have an extra CP, so we actually don't have to save the against. Nice. Good job, Audrey. All done with Chapter 14. Next 2 missions are going to be rather fast-paced. First, there's going to be some story cutscenes that we're going to skip. Now it's Chapter 15. So for this, we don't have to capture any flags. In fact, we're not going to be capturing any flags for the rest of the game. But instead, we're going to be opening gates. So we're going to play Alicia, because we need to resist crossfire for this mission. I'm going to be doing this the safe way, but even the safe way, we still would have to do it with Alicia. So we're going to use Defense Boost and Awaken Potential. And we have 3 gates to open. So hopefully we get resist crossfire. Alright, that's good. Since we use defense boost, we wouldn't die, but if this guy or the next unit do not give you it, and you do not use defense boost, I would be dead. So this is our first gate. We're doing this because we want to ram their base with an explosive train. And they have gates blocking it. Alright, we got double movements. We only need it once this time, and unlike all the other missions, we actually have a lot of CP for it. So it's not too scary. Alright, and we had to stop there because we don't want to get a cutscene on ladders. So unfortunately we'll never know how they work. And nice, we got resist crossfire very quickly. That means there's not really anything to worry about. When you get into this base, you tend to take a lot of damage, but with us having both buffs on, it's not going to do much. That's our second gate, and I have to be a little careful here, because that's a lot of landmines, and that is our third gate. Alright, 15-2 is a very quick mission. It's actually, like, kinda tied with Chapter 9 as the shortest mission in the game. It's also going to be when we stop deploying units, because we don't need to deploy anything for about 11 minutes. So this is a boss fight against Valkyria. She's like a main antagonist throughout the game, but we don't really see her in the speedrun, and we're only going to see her for a teeny bit at a time. So we're going to use the smoke round. That's so that she can't see us, because she is basically like a name unit, so she'll dodge a bunch. But she's not going to be able to dodge if we're in smoke. And this is the other tank. This is the only use of it in the game. And yeah, that is all the extent Valkyria will be in the run. In New Game Plus, if you go in the right position, it's very consistent, get a 1 cycle. And after the fastest mission in the game, we get the longest, and it is a 9-minute auto-scroller with the tank. We have to get Welkin to a very far away location. And this is basically most of the remaining run. So that's the Marmota. It has like eyes and a face painted on it. It's pretty silly. It's going to be very, very slowly chasing us for about 7 turns. And we need to divert its path. So we're going to be shooting some cages along the way to cause rock slides. And other than that, we'll just slowly moving forward with Vulcan. We're going to end in smoke just so no one shoots at us, because it makes the enemy bases a bit faster. We don't have to kill anyone though. And Zaka died after doing his one thing for the run. So those are the cages coming up. You can see one of them to my right. After I do all my movements, I'm going to put an fire on it. Alright, good job, Vulcan. This is New Game Plus, so the chances of it missing is much lower than New Game, but especially with the second shot, there's a good shot against. Because for some reason we have to cause 2 rock slides. So wait till the guy starts shooting and... Alright. Good job, Vulcan. Alright, and then we're just gonna do what we did at the end of last turn. Lots of smoke around and wait until we get a fight again. Alright, nice, we did not die. There's a slight chance that you'll get seen here and you will game over because there's a Lancer. It will hit your radiator and you will die. But now that that's over with, there's probably nothing scary for the remainder of the run. I think they're just explaining right now that we're supposed to be diverting the Bermuda. But don't worry, we've already started. So now we're going to do the same thing for 2 turns. There's a tank barricade in our way, so we're going to go and shoot it. And then we're going to use a smoke round. We have 2 more turns of gameplay, and the other turns are just going to be ending turn by the Bermuda inches this way to the goal. Alright, nice. That's the last thing Vulcan can miss. Alright, and this is the last turn we have to wait and smoke. We do have to wait quite a few extra turns, but there's going to be another rock slide coming up soon, and that will block the enemy instead. I'm going to park the tank right around here. Hopefully that's requisition. and now for the rest of the chapter 16, we're just gonna intern until we win. So be prepared to watch a bunch of mortar animations and a bunch of cutscenes with Ramoda. That's a shorter one, but the next one is really long. This is the really long one. It's not going to stop until, like, Ramoda completely destroys that base. Alright, last enemy turn. Then the next couple missions are all going to be quick one turns. They're about the same length as the entirety of chapter 16. So the rest of the game is just 3 quick boss fights. Starting with chapter 17. This is, we didn't really see him on camera, but this is the boss from chapter 5 that we ran past. Alright, so boss killing in this game and the endgame is going to be using 2 waters, penetration, and demolition boost. Combined with the T-Mag 20, which has the largest magazine capacity in the game, we're going to do a lot of damage. Alright, so we have to move about 1 more action, and then we're gonna 3 around the tank up ahead. We could get lucky and get double attack, and it'll only take 2 actions, but that's pretty rare. Now we're gonna move up slightly in case we get double attack. Because once we destroy this armor, we're gonna have to destroy the tank's satchel body. Alright, double attack, but no victory animation either. Alright, and that is chapter 17. So there's only 1 more chapter in the game, 18, but that's gonna have 2 maps to clear. Alright, so this is going to be basically the same strat we did last mission. It's going to be CP perfect. We're going to deploy some people because we need a lot of CP. And we're going to use Kevin and hope he gets double attack. Otherwise, we're just going to use all of our CP up to win. Alright, so we're going to use Demolition Boost and Penetration again. But this time we're going to be shooting all 5 actions. So there's quite a few targets. So this is the only time we're going to go over a sandbag in the entire run. And it's more or less, well, we do in 17 as well, it's just because they're in the way. So first, we need to destroy these heat sinks. They're kind of small, but we can just barely get them on this action. Alright, second heat sink. We do not want double attack here. And then that's going to destroy the barrier around Lance. And then we're going to use our next 3 CP to slowly take out the Lance. So if we get double attack on the first 2 actions, we'll actually save some time. But on the final action, we'll just shoot at the already dead Lance. Alright, 1 more action, and then we're on to the last map. Nice, no double attack. Alright, final map in the game. We're gonna be fighting Maximilian. He was the guy who was in the tanks in chapter 7 and 16. But now he is a artificial Valkyria. So for this mission, we have to first destroy the 3 towers that are powering Maximilian, and then we're going to go and take him out. That's why we have to deploy a sniper, because one of the towers you're going to see is very far away. Alright, and we got good luck with the debris. The debris that falls in this game is random, and sometimes it can block our path. But it's usually way in the back and not going to waste our time. So there's the first tower. We're going to move a little to the left, and then we're going to take out the faraway tower. Thankfully the towers are not RNG in their position, because that would make things a little annoying. Now, the reason we're going to use Alex instead of another shock trooper is 1, the weapon he has equipped, 2, he has ultimate damage. This is going to allow him to hopefully one-cycle the boss. So time is coming up pretty soon, unless I get bad luck. It's going to be when Maximilian's HP hits 0. but depending on how the game is, I might need more than one try. Alright. So we wait so Max doesn't do any damage to us, and I'm gonna save. Alright, and let's see what happens. And time. Alright, and that is Valkyria Chronicles New Game Plus. We actually got lucky at the end. Credits are a bit long, so we probably don't have time to watch them. But thanks for having me. Give a quick shout-outs to the other Valkyria Chronicle games. All of them are getting some pretty nice routing stuff if anyone's interested in routing speedruns.